My in-laws feast on shrimp and crab every weekend while I don't even dare to buy stretch mark cream. When I went to my husband's hometown to stay there after giving birth, I finally understood why he always seemed to be short of money. Before that, I believed our finances were tight simply because we had debts to repay. But after living with my in-laws for a while, I realized something. It wasn't because we earned too little. It was because too many people were living off my husband's money. And to them, that was completely normal. After giving birth, I quit my job to stay home and recover. According to tradition, I moved back to my husband's hometown for a while so his family could help take care of me and the baby. At first, I thought it would be a peaceful time. I imagined finally being able to rest after childbirth. I thought life would slow down for a while, but after just a few weeks, I began to realize that life in my husband's house was nothing like what I had imagined. Every weekend, when my husband returned from the city, our house suddenly became very lively. Not just because family members gathered together, but because there would be a feast, almost every single weekend. As soon as my husband arrived, my mother-in-law would start calling relatives, uncles, aunts, cousins, anyone who was free could come over. Then my husband would go to the market to buy food, shrimp, crab, shellfish, sometimes beef, fish, and plenty of beer. The table was always full. Everyone sat together eating and drinking happily. The house was filled with laughter. Everyone praised my husband for being successful. They called him the boss. Some even said to me, "You're lucky to marry Tun. In this village, very few people are as capable as him." Glasses were raised. People congratulated him. They said he was the pride of the family, a devoted son, a successful man. And me, I just sat quietly at the corner of the table, not because I wasn't happy, but because one thought kept repeating in my mind. Every shrimp on the table, every crab, every bottle of beer, was paid for by my husband. The same money we were borrowing just to pay our debts. One time, as I looked at the table full of seafood, big shrimp, big crabs, everyone eating freely and happily, I suddenly remembered something very small, but it made my chest feel tight. After giving birth, my stomach was covered with stretch marks. One day I stood in front of the mirror looking at them. I searched online for a stretch mark cream. It cost about 400,000 Vietnamese dongs. I held my phone, ready to order it, but then I closed the app, because the only thought in my mind was, 400,000, maybe I should save it. At that moment, I asked myself a question. Why did I hesitate to buy a 400,000 VND cream, when every weekend my in-laws could spend millions on seafood? And it wasn't just the food. There were many other expenses in the house that I had never known about before. The house had internet, cable television, all kinds of living expenses. Whenever something broke, my mother-in-law would call my husband. Phone broken, call my husband. Water pump broken, call my husband. Fan not working, still call my husband. One time my mother-in-law's phone stopped working. She called my husband and simply said, "My phone is broken. Buy me a new one." My husband just replied, "Okay." No one asked if he was struggling financially. No one asked if he was drowning in debt. Everyone only knew one thing. He was the one who made money, and because of that, he had to take care of everything. And me, I had almost become invisible at those family feasts. I sat there listening to their conversations, listening to them praise my husband, listening to them say how lucky I was. But no one knew what my life was really like. Most of the clothes I wore after giving birth were old clothes from my older sister. Not because I had no money, but because I didn't dare spend it. That year during Tet, while everyone in the family bought new clothes, I was still wearing the same old outfits. I didn't get my hair done. I didn't buy cosmetics. I didn't wear makeup. One relative looked at me and laughed. "You're a daughter-in-law in this family, but you dress so simply." I just smiled. I didn't explain anything. One day, my husband's aunt jokingly said something I will never forget. She laughed and said, "You're so rich, sister-in-law. Why don't you give your husband's sister some money to get her hair done?" Everyone laughed. I laughed too. But inside, I felt deeply sad, because she didn't know that the money my husband sent to his younger sister every month was sometimes more than what my child and I spent on food. Some nights I lay in bed holding my baby, looking at my tiny son sleeping in my arms. And I asked myself a question: who am I living for? For my husband? Or for his entire family? And somewhere along the way, when did I disappear from my own life? But the biggest shock hadn't even come yet. One evening at the beginning of the year, after we had finally managed to save some money, my husband told me he needed to bring 100 million Vietnamese dongs to repay a bank loan. I sat there quietly listening. Then I asked a question I had always tried to avoid. How much debt do we still have left? My husband stayed silent for a moment. Then he said something that made me freeze. Probably about 300 million more. That was when I realized a terrifying truth. Before we got married, he told me the total debt was only 300 million. But now, the real amount we were carrying was actually double that. And at that moment, I began to understand that I might have become nothing more than a machine paying off debts for his entire family.